Pam Holt, the happy host, and I'm going to try one more time to connect with Ro Jones today. She's come to us from the West Coast. She is a hospitable host, so that means she's an author in a collaborative project that we're both involved in, along with 42 other fantastic hosts from all over the world. Ro's going to tell us about her background, how she got started, and what she does in addition to being a short-term rental host, which is really quite interesting. So hang on, we'll try one more time. Let's see. Okay, let's see if I can get her up. Can you hear me, Ro? Are you out there? Let's see. Okay, so hopefully Ro will get that message and join us soon. I've been a part of the Hospitable Hosts Collaborative now for, it's been a couple of months now, and we're really excited because the book is going to be released about 2 weeks from now. So I see Rose there. Let me see if she's going to join us. She should come in soon. Hi, Ro, can you hear me? Let's see. Ro, did you accept the invitation to join? Are you there, Ro? Can you see me? Let's see. If you accept our invitation, we should connect. So Ro is in the lending industry, and so this will be fascinating to hear, especially, says she can't join. Why can't she join? Let's see. Try again. I'm going to try again, Ro. Let's see if it works this time. Hey, there you are.
Good
That was kind of
morning.
hard. Sorry about that. Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. This is my first time, so I don't know if I'm connecting or not. I was like, I kept looking for you.
We're connected. So sometimes it takes a minute because depending on connectivity. So we're together now. I can hear you. You can hear me. The audience can hear us too. So it's nice to meet you. Thanks for joining.
Same here. Good to meet you. Hello, everyone.
And I was telling everyone that you're coming to us from the West Coast and that you're a hospitable host. And so
Yes.
we're all very interested in hearing your story. So start with how you got started in the industry. Let us know what you currently do, and we can't wait to hear.
Well, actually, my daytime job is I'm in technology. I'm a senior VP of technology in one of the top banks of in America, and I can't tell it right now because it's work day right now. So
Okay, that's okay. We
I'm
take your word
actually
for it.
I cut out for this, and but actually the about in 2004, I started planning for my retirement, so I started investing in single family homes.
Okay.
So that was my retirement plan.
Okay.
But
So you
about
were buying them
yeah,
to
to rent them
to
out for long
rent?
term. Yes.
Okay, okay.
And that was it. That was the extent of my, real estate. But I'm really very passionate about it. But until 5 years ago, um, I'm getting close to retirement, and I realized, yes, I have that. I have my daytime job. I have my pension. Somehow, it's not enough. I
Okay.
started doing the math, and I kind of panicked, and I said, I need to kind of supplement and figure out, especially closer to retirement, what am I going to do? So,
That's
in,
so interesting because I always tell people who are facing a transition, and retirement is a big life transition, consider hosting to supplement. And this is
yes,
unbelievable that you say this because
yes,
I've tried to preach this, and you're here, living it. So it's
yes.
great.
And actually, it didn't start there. It was, I was, the anxiety, I was up at 3 a.m. in the morning, and I was seeing all these fix and flip infomercials. And I said, hey, I have my long-term rental. I like real estate. Why not? I'll give it a try. So I started looking for meetups, mentorships, and all that. And long story short, I bought this like university program about anything about real estate. And one of the
Okay.
classes was short-term rental.
Oh,
But prior to that, I did try out some of what I was learning. So I did fix and flip. It kind of led me to so many open doors. I started doing fix and flip. I started doing hard money lending. I
okay.
started doing syndications, multifamily unit. And then I landed on short-term rental. And so
Okay. So
I
hold on,
found,
Ro. You got to go back and
sure,
explain
sorry,
what
I was just,
those different things are, because not everybody knows about syndication or fix and flip, all of that. Start from the beginning, if you
sure,
would, and just
sure.
explain a little bit about what each of those entails.
Sure, yeah. So on Fix and Flip was the first one because, I found the infomercial and I thought, oh, sign up. But, instead I looked at blogs and to see if they were scams and stuff. So everybody was saying, you don't need to pay that money. Just go to your local meetups. And that's what I did. I joined up a lot of the real estate meetups and everything. And I met a lot of really great people that I ended up partnering with on fix and flips.
Oh,
They have experience in fix and
cool.
flips, so I started kind of tagging along, and it helped me kind of understand like how to assess if it's if there's money to be made, the
Okay. So
value.
were you hands on, or were you sort of
At first, I
were you the bank, or were you in
very
there
good
painting
question.
and doing the
Yeah,
fix part?
very good question. Yes, I was initially the plan was to do hands-on. And then I quickly realized in order to do that, I have a daytime job. It was going to be impossible.
I was wondering
So
how you fit that in.
yeah,
Okay.
so what I did is I met these great partners. They were already doing it about 3-4 times a year. And so I partnered with them. And in some cases, I actually was both equity partner and hard money lender.
Oh,
And
wow,
actually,
fantastic.
yeah, actually the deal that I made, I don't know if they will still do that today, but at the time it was I it was covering both ends. So basically if it made money, then I'll be an equity partner. If it doesn't make money, I'm a hard money lender. So I
Okay,
have
so explain what that means then. Yeah,
so
being a
basically
hard money one.
the contract that we drafted was a floor and a ceiling. So basically, it states that if by the time you draft the contract, you know what you potentially would make with that flip because you've done the math, you kind of agreed to it. So if if when by the time you flip it, the value that you sold it for goes beyond. So there's tiers that I put in there.
Okay.
So if
Okay.
it goes beyond this tier, I get 15%. If not, I get 27%. So it maxed to 27%. So
Okay.
basically anything above this, then my return and my share will be 27%. And if it doesn't, and if it just kind of like, at zero, I put a floor in there and I put, basically I become a hard money lender and, it's 14%. And
Okay.
most folks do 11, but because I have a good relationship with this group, um, we put the floor at 14%. And
Okay, so let's add some numbers to that, so it helps people who have never done this before. So, and we got to use round numbers, Ro, because I'm not here to do a bunch of math
sure,
live. So if the property, if you buy a property, let's just say at $50,000, I don't know what your market is. That wouldn't buy very much here, but anyway, just for round numbers, $50,000. You're going to put in $50,000 on it. So you got $100,000, and now you're projecting that you're going to sell it for $200,000, let's say.
right,
So you're coming in and you're saying, using those numbers, you're saying that if it sells for 200, just at, break even,
right.
100 is
No,
break
you
even. So
100, yeah, you double it.
if it sells for 100, you're lending the money to do the rehab at 14%.
Exactly. So
Okay.
if it's
And if
if
it sells at 200, where you've made, you've got a ceiling on it, so I guess that probably exceeds your ceiling. But at something like that, you're taking
so sorry,
27%. Oh, don't worry about it. We'll come back and we'll figure out this. It's
sorry about
I
that.
wasn't planning.
That's what
That's okay. I
happens when
wasn't
you're at
planning on
home.
doing math in my head. But if you sell in excess of a particular percentage that you've pre-agreed upon, then you get X number of dollars at that point. So
Yes.
depending on where you sell, and even if it sells at break even, you're going to get paid because at that point you're the bank. You're lending the money.
Yes, and so
Got it.
oh my gosh, I'm
That's
so
okay.
sorry. Of course that happens, right?
That's okay.
It's such so at when it, let's say my ceiling is 200, then I make 20. You make 27%.
Okay.
So it would be 27% of not just of your 100, but of the 200,000.
Okay. Okay. Fantastic. Got it. Okay. So you did that. How many times did you say you did that?
I'm so sorry.
That's okay. No, no
And
problem.
then yes, I did that, and then I also and then I took a class in short-term rental, and everybody was so excited about it, and so I found a mentor, and I signed up for mentorship. It actually took me 6 months to get the nerve to I kept attending all the mentorship classes like almost like daily, and I was excited about doing it, but to actually cross that line and go get over your fear to do it, it took me 6 months. And actually in the book, that was one of my lesson learned is like for everyone who's starting is just, everyone is fearful. Everybody who's starting is
Yes.
fearful, and just do it. Get a good person who can hold your hand, or a friend that knows it. If you have the money, get some mentorship and just do it. Because now what I regret is I wish I started 6 months earlier.
Okay, that's fascinating. So let me ask you this. How were you setting up that first one? Did you buy a property specifically to use as a short-term rental, or did you convert one of your long-terms into a short-term, or did you rehab to then short-term? How'd you do it? Because this is fascinating. You've got the whole, like the long story, not just
Yeah.
stepping into it as an established, rental. You've got the backstory. I love it.
Yeah, and actually, so the mentorship that I signed up for was focusing on arbitrage, and
Okay.
I actually kind of fell in love with the idea because I did not convert my long-term rentals. They were kind of, they're I pretty much don't worry about them. I just collect the checks. But
Hmm.
on the short-term rental, I like the idea that I don't have to put a money down for a condo or an apartment for 12 to $18,000. I can get into one unit and I recover that in like 3 months.
Okay, so let's slow down again. Arbitrage, for people who don't know, is when you typically rent a property for the sole purpose of re-renting it as a short-term rental. So you don't own the property, you're essentially putting up first and last month's rent, and then you are subletting it, sort of, to people on a short-term basis. And the statistics say that it's 30%, typically 30% more profitable than a long-term lease, although there are precautions that people should understand before they jump into arbitrage, because a lot of people in this industry, in this space, will educate you on arbitrage, but they won't tell you that you got to have some backup cash
Oh
in
yeah,
case things go wrong. For
that's right.
instance, a lot of people who were doing arbitrage during the pandemic ran into a lot of problems because
Yes,
when people stopped traveling,
yes,
and in Chicago they outlawed for a certain amount of time, they didn't allow us to host at all. So
yeah,
you have to be able to carry that rental in the
yes,
event that something like that happens.
yes. That,
And
that
so
thank you
they'll
for
tell you that it's, yeah, only 2 months rent that you need, but you really do need some cushion in case something goes wrong. So that's what arbitrage is. And so you
yeah.
did that, and how did that work
And
out?
and to your point, actually, I think I was very lucky in that when I started, it was getting into summer, and as everybody
Okay,
knows, there's peak and slow season. So in the summer, they were all fully booked, and they were
great.
and I used Price Lab, so it was being priced competitively. So in the summer, the prices were really high, and so you don't really feel the risk, but come winter time you do start seeing that, and definitely the money that the revenue that you've made in the summer really helps out in the winter season.
Right.
uh,
And it works out. Well, it depends on the market. Some markets aren't quite as seasonal as others. In
there-
Chicago, because of our weather, we have a very finite season. And so, when it's over, it's over. And not too many people are coming to Chicago in January for a variety of reasons. So you have to have, the cash to cover that. And just so people know, Price Labs is a service that helps short-term renter operators establish pricing,
Yeah.
dynamic pricing, so that on one particular day you might charge X amount of money, but maybe
Yes.
on a weekend or a more popular time of the year, you can escalate that price.
Yeah.
And they'll give you the price that the market will bear given comparables in your area at that time. So
Yeah.
just want to explain that in case anyone
Thank
doesn't
you.
know about
Yes, and
Price
it
Labs.
really it's helps so much to not have to worry about how you should price your market, and just kind of learn to fine tune. It really helps to know, like, when they increase the price, that something's going on in the area, maybe a concert or it's a weekend that
Right.
people usually come in for. So that really helps a lot. And so when you're kind of slow, then you can just adjust the price and kind of still boost that occupancy. So
Right. So you're trying to maximize, the goal is to try to maximize your occupancy, regardless of what's going on in your market.
yeah.
So that's
Um,
the point.
Yeah, and even with COVID, and as a lot of operators probably know, a lot of them have transitioned and changed their avatars or their demographics. So where they were catering to business travelers, they switched to like medical folks who have to come into
Right.
the city, and so focus on the traveling nurses and all that. And that's
Yes.
actually how they were. A lot of my friends who started before me and kind of got into it while COVID was able to turn things around, and I learned from that.
Fantastic. That's great. I'm glad that you had a mentor. I know that it can be scary for people. That's why I always say that, you don't have to do it by yourself. And I think, if you can find a community or if you can find someone who will just literally just kind of walk you through and be there for your first few guest arrivals, it makes it a lot easier. And then you start to build confidence, and it's amazing because once you start to build confidence, then you
Oh yeah,
start
you
to
get a
play
little,
around
yeah,
with your pricing, and maybe
yeah,
you throw in a few amenities because you
yeah.
know that this is working out, and it just sort of builds on itself the more you do it. Would you agree?
Yeah, actually, your confidence really gets when it gets boosted. You just kind of, but at the same time, I was a bit cautious. Like, I wanted to understand the seasonality. So,
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
and I kind of want to start off, like, just to be transparent. I kind of cheated. Um, I started in my mentorship program. There were a lot of students, and one of the students, who's now a friend of mine, um, had his parents. He had to go home to Korea to take care of his parents, and he just started his business. He had 3 units,
Mm,
and
okay.
he mentioned in the class that I don't know what to do. I'm not going to be able to. So people were suggesting co-manage it with someone. So I called him after that and I said, I can buy it from you, you know. So I bought his business.
Fantastic.
He just started like 3 months. And
Hmm.
when I looked at his books, the occupancy was like at 90%. So I
Oh
was,
my goodness.
yeah. And he was getting kind of long-term stays and stuff like that. So we
So
quickly kind of
just so
through it.
people who are watching this know, the typical occupancy is under 50%. And depending on where you are, of course,
Yeah,
everything varies depending on the season
yeah,
and the market, but kind of across the board, it's a little bit less than 50%. However, some of us who host our own homes, I mean, my occupancy is probably 20%, but that's the way I want it because I can't be out of my home the whole time. So
right.
you can make adjustments depending on
Yes.
your circumstances.
Yeah.
And for someone who's got a 90% occupancy, the first thing I would say is look at your pricing. You might need to increase your pricing
Yeah.
because that's really, really high.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Okay,
and
so
oh
you
my
so
gosh,
you
there's so
stepped
much.
into his business. Is that what
Yes,
you're
I know.
saying? Is
There's so
that how
much
you
to
cheated?
fine tune, isn't it? Yeah, but actually, and that's why I was like thinking, gosh, I know a lot of operators, and that's, I said I gave that advice, just get started, because that was my problem. I was so fearful of getting started and parting with my money that, I felt like it was serendipitous that, that happened. So I have to admit to everyone, I cheated. But once I got in it, just the first month or two, I got used to all of the technology, all of the process and all that. And I opened, two more. And then I
Wow.
just kept opening more and more. And so I actually just opened two in the last month and a half. And my goal
Wow.
is to open 13 more by the end of the year
That
because
is fantastic. You're a mogul.
well, because of the confidence, like you said, it gives you confidence. Like you get a feel of like, okay, and I just wanted to get over the winter month, and I realized like even in the winter when it was slow, in some cases I didn't even have occupancy on one of my units for 2 weeks. But when I looked at my books with my bookkeeper, I was still making revenue
Okay.
on the slimmest month, and I'm like, okay, that was the boost that I needed. I wanted to find out, okay, on the slimmest month, can I still make it? And I
That was
did.
your proof, huh?
And
Okay.
that was my proof. Okay, I
Now,
said, I'm
where
gonna
are you
do this.
located? Where are you?
I'm in California.
Okay. All right. Are you in a particularly
Yeah,
attractive location?
my units. Well, the first three units that I have are in close to Ontario Airport.
Okay.
So I get a lot of
Fantastic.
business travelers. I get
Fantastic. Yeah.
family visiting family because they're close to the airport.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have a few in camp that I open in Camarillo, which is close to me, which is also my mentor's first advice is if you're going to start with somewhere very close driving distance to where you live.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And if you can, I would say even your next couple of units, try to make them in close proximity because save yourself,
Yes.
some wear and tear running around to various units trying to make sure everything is okay in the beginning. So
Absolutely.
that brings me to, do you manage your properties or do you have a company or service that does that for you?
At the moment, I actually do not. I am in now that I have. There was a number in my head. I said, okay, when I get to that number, then I'm going to get virtual assistants and a part-time operations manager. So I'm ready. I'm talking to a lady right now that's going to help me do that. She actually does it for one of my other mentors for long-term stays, and
Okay.
they only support long-term stays. But I kind of partnered with her, and we're going to start with part-time VAs. But actually, the other surprising thing is, my mentor always said, always hire someone as soon as profitably you're available to do so.
Mm-hmm.
But it's only taking me, I would say, like maybe a half an hour a day.
Bro, you're making this sound really good.
I know, because of the process, right? So I got all my systems in place.
Got it.
I actually first did this because when I heard from my friends, like, how much time are you spending? I have a W-2 job, and they're saying like 4 hours a week. I'm like, oh my God, I want that. That's what I want. And I couldn't believe it. I thought they were lying to me. But they did say, they stressed on the point that if you have your systems in place, you've got your team. I do have runners, and I have really, really wonderful cleaning crew that helps me with the inventory and sometimes on the doing the running as well, which is really helpful. So pretty much most of what I do is just like responding to, which is very rare. They check in, and there's rarely any problems, so knock on wood. It's been taking, and I think also because lately I've been getting longer stays. So when you have longer stays and you don't have a lot of activity,
you have less
yeah,
turnover. Yes.
and that's actually why I was able to open two more, is because I've had longer stays in the last couple of months that helped me kind of, not have to worry and focus on that. So
That's fantastic. So give us a breakdown. How many units do you have in total?
I have 7, and I have in line 3 more that I already put a deposit for that will be open before end of June.
And are all of those arbitrage, or do you own
Yes,
any of them?
they're all arbitrage.
All
The other thing I wanted to mention to you, you mentioned about like arbitrage, and you talked about subletting. And one of the things my mentor would always say, we don't sublet.
Well, no, not in the typical sense.
Not
No,
in a typical sense.
No,
And so
you're right.
have to make sure that in your contract, in your lease. I negotiate my lease contract. I change the
Yes.
verbiage and stuff
Yes.
to make sure. And in my contract, I specifically say this is not a sublet.
It's not a sublet, and the reason it's not a sublet is because there are legal rights that attach to a sublet that do not attach to a short-term
Right.
rental. So yes, I misspoke. It's not that it's a sublet, but it's like a sublet for people who don't do this. It's you are re-renting it to
Yes.
someone else on a short-term basis. So,
Or
but they
actually,
do not.
you're allowing a guest to stay at your place.
Yes, they do not get the rights that come with a sublet agreement. So,
Yeah.
yes, let's clear
Absolutely.
that up. So,
And
you know what, Ro, this is fascinating. I didn't know that you had so many units in your portfolio. That's really cool to hear, and I'm sure the people just getting started are just blown away by your ability to have so much going on and so much, I assume income coming in based on all of that. And it's fascinating. I would love to go into even deeper conversations with you, but I like to try to keep this to 30 minutes. So maybe you'll come back sometime and we can talk about the specifics of how you have put together your portfolio, and we can go in a little more detail. And you can tell us if people don't get a chance to get the book before you return. We'll read your chapter and find out some of your story, but I would really like to talk to you more about details of what it is you do.
If I may add one more thing,
Sure.
along the storyline of, before I go, along the storyline of, I bought the business, right? And I kind of figured there's a lot of people like me, maybe, who work in corporate, you have a little bit of nest egg, do you want to do this? And I realized like what happened to me really fast tracked me. And I realized there might be opportunity for that for other people. So I recently signed up to partner for acquisitions and mergers, which is basically, I will be focusing on, one of the things I'll be focusing on is actually brokering, selling, exactly what happened to me, where someone would want to sell their first few units to get somebody a jump start. For me, I was more than glad to pay for it, right? Because I didn't want to go through all that fear and all that. So I even told him, pat it. I was like, for all the effort you did for starting it, I'm willing to pay for it. And I realized there will be, people will find use for that if they don't have to do from start. And I actually have just started that 2 weeks ago. I partnered with someone, and we'll be focusing. One of the things we'll be focusing on is acquisitions of such a company.
That's fascinating. I'd love for you to come back and talk more about that.
Hopefully by then I've done a conversion, right?
I mean, I think a lot of people would love to step into something that's already been established, because you kind of leapfrog over the research and a lot of
I'm a perfect example, right? The model, it worked for me.
Yeah, fantastic. Ro, thanks so much for coming to join us today.
much.
That's really so valuable. I hope you come back again. And I can't wait to read your chapter. The book is going to be released on May 16th.
Yes.
So, so we're hoping that everybody who's interested in short-term rentals will pick up a copy. And you can find out how 44 different people have gotten started and how they maintain their short-term rental business. So, Ro, how can people reach you if they want to get in touch and hear about your acquisitions and your arbitrage? How can they reach you?
Yes, I opened a new account on Instagram. It's Rojonology, ROEJONOLOGY, and I'll start kind of putting all my progress in there and everything I'm doing. I'm kind of just building my all of that brand and profile right now. But we're also starting a club called the Ultimate Investorpreneur in Clubhouse. I partnered with 2 other guys who are very much like me, who get into these kind of things and learn and then just do it, but share our successes. And hopefully from our successes, people like me could have used someone like me 4 years, 5 years ago to hold my hand. And that's the objective of the club, is like people who are fearful of crossing that line, we're there to show them it's been successful for us. Do your due diligence, but we're here, to share that information. So I'm hoping that, we'll be launching that club next month.
Great.
And it's everything from short-term rental, Turo, mergers and acquisitions, hopefully, and crypto. I mean, these 2 guys that I partnered with are awesome. They're go-getters. And I learned so much from them as well. So I'm very excited to launch the club.
Okay, we'll look forward to seeing you there. What's the name of it again?
The Ultimate Investorpreneur, and the Investorpreneur is spelled with invest, and then uppreneur. So I
Okay,
thought
all
like,
right.
up is a good thing. So
Okay, we'll check you out. We'll find you and we'll listen in on Clubhouse as well.
thank you.
Thanks
Thank
so much, Ro. Great to
you
meet
so
you.
much. Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you. Thank you.
Sorry
Bye.
about that noise and the dogs, but thank
No,
you.
don't worry about the dog. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks.